You just had a presentation about what's the state of business intelligence in the upcoming year. Did you see a change in the role of business intelligence in the last few years until now?
Yeah, I think from two perspectives. I think one from a technology perspective, we've seen much more of a move to, some people call it pervasive BI, some operational BI, but I think making BI available to a much wider audience.
Okay.
So that's been a very noticeable shift over certainly the last sort of 3 or 4 years. And then the other one's an external factor. So I think with the sort of economic downturn that we're facing at the moment, again, I suspect 5 years ago, BI would have been the first part of the budget to be cut. I think now people appreciate that if they're going to sort of succeed in the sort of the fierce competition that we're going to face, then actually they need to use BI to improve the sort of operational excellence.
Especially now to survive this economic situation.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I think
You also showed like the use of business intelligence in a different kinds of markets. Financial sector was below.
Yeah.
Do you think it is in relation to what's happening now this week actually in the financial market?
To some extent, but I think the figures I showed were growth figures.
Okay.
So clearly financial services have invested a lot in the past in BI.
Yeah, okay.
I think a good thing now is that other industry sectors are catching up, if you like.
Okay, so they already had a good business intelligence. Okay.
But I think it's interesting to see that sort of a lot of other industry sectors are now also investing in BI that perhaps haven't in the past.
Yeah, especially retail, I saw.
Well, yeah, retail, you know, very, very important to retailers to understand their sort of customer buying patterns and so on.
Yeah.
So
you also talked about the innovation, the use of business intelligence in innovation. You also said something about how we can share information to improve. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think increasingly, if you look at where does the value come from for companies, today it's very rarely just within your sort of company walls. So it involves often a sort of business value network involving partners, you know, involving sort of getting insight from customers as well. So the business processes that perhaps we're looking to apply BI to stretch outside. So we need to share some of that intelligence with business partners. There's some very nice examples with customers. So could we create some insight, some intelligence, and share that out to customers to perhaps sort of strengthen the relationship with them, or to even to compete? So it might be, you know, that customers would prefer to come to us because we can provide them with better insight and more interesting information.
Okay. You also said something about what still needs to be improved, and you were talking about closing the loop. What do you mean by the closing the loop?
Well, I think it really works at two levels.
Okay.
So operationally, we need to make sure that we're setting a strategy, that we're feeding that into a set of objectives, and that's being fed down into our sort of business operations, and then we get feedback from that to close the loop to influence the next cycle of strategy. But I sort of particularly brought it up because it applies to the technology as well. So I think people have invested in different BI solutions, and they're all, in many cases, working with different data stores, sort of different departments, and they don't really sort of, they're not integrated, they don't talk to each other.
We need a business intelligence above that to integrate.
I think, we need to sort of integrate it all together so it's all working from a sort of common foundation.
That's what all these people have to learn right now.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.